Regarding that. They are really good.
Yeah. That's what they
They talk about, I think it's the James McMurtry concert. Got day off. All them. That's right.
Thank you.
We're gonna need a day off.
Not happy when I leave. Yeah. Got everybody here, call the meeting to order. Part of the week is approving the minutes from last meeting. We have a discussion concerns.
Motion to approve.
Second. My name is spelled wrong. You could add that extra A on there. I know. And like to welcome a new member,
Everyone, thank you. Everybody.
Today we have a zoning map amendment request for a proposed middle school. Don, would you like to take it away?
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Your new members' information, John Eskin, Senior Planner, Jackson County, Mike Poston, Planning Director of the county. The town has a new local agreement with the county to do planning and zoning, be the zoning administrator for the town. That's why we're involved. So in the future, you may see more of me. Yes, so this is a zoning map amendment request. The applicant is Jackson County government. Kevin King is the county manager, agent for the property owner. In this case, the property location is at 899 Highway 107, Sylva, pin number 7640857027. That's this property highlighted in blue right here. You can see that it's on Highway 107, right across from South River Road. This right here is where the overpass and roundabout is, just to the north of it. The current property zoning is in the ETJ General Business District. The ordinance section for which the text amendment, or in this case, the map amendment, well, it is a map amendment, sorry, not a text amendment. The request is Article 3 Procedures, Section 3.9B, the zoning map amendment. That section. Description of the request is that the applicant is requesting a map amendment that would designate the subject property as ETJ institutional district. So moving it from general business to institutional. The background is the institutional district is a moderately sized district within the town. That's the existing town zoning map. So you could see that institutional, it's that darker blue. So there are pockets around town that are institutional. It would fall in that designation in the ETJ, that property. It's moderately sized district within the town zoning jurisdiction. The ID district offers a broad range of permitted use by right uses, and special uses such as public, civic, and social services, auditoriums, community centers, emergency services, government facilities, places of worship, preschool, daycare, parks and rec, healthcare facilities, professional offices, etc. Property improvements in this district are subject to the development standards as set forth in the zoning ordinance, including building setbacks, landscaping, architectural standards, sidewalk construction, parking, and stormwater treatment. The subject property is located on Highway 107, approximately 850 linear feet north of Highway 107, Old Colby Road intersection. So that intersection is right here, Old Colby Road. So it's just a little bit north of that. This property has a total of 58.6 acres in land area and is vacant with no structures. Access to this property is from the public right of way, Highway 107. This property is adjacent to properties to the north and south that are in the ETJ General Business District, as this one is currently, and is not located within 100-year floodplain or protected watershed. This property is or can be served by Tuckasegee Water and Sewer Authority for public utilities. The application response is that the applicant is requesting that the existing town of Sylva zoning map be amended to designate this property 58.6 acres in total to the ETJ Industrial District. Staff findings are that this map request or map amendment requested map amendment would not constitute spot zoning, as the request is consistent with the town's adopted 2040 land use plan. That's this particular map. That's in, or I'm sorry, this is the, yeah, this is it. This is the future land use. Right here. So this is the 2040 plan that's adopted. The town's adopted land use plan for 2040 establishes that this property will be in the future community corridor district, with encouraged land uses for this district in mixed use buildings, institutional uses, walkable neighborhood, commercial, retail, office, and personal services, large scale commercial, business centers, community services, and civic education services. So again, that property and this inset is down here in the ETJ. It is part of the community corridor. There, and the community corridor, all this is in your packet, by the way. That's the description of that particular corridor for the future land use. Happy to answer the question.
There's nothing on the property now?
No.
Is this, are they only planning for this property to be the middle school?
Yeah.
What would the impact of traffic on 107 be with the middle school there? What's the, that's a lot of traffic.
No traffic impact whatsoever. But whenever, okay, so the private process like this works when a property is developed and something of large scale, whether it be a school or a shopping center, whatever it is. Now, keep in mind that the town doesn't own or operate that right of way in front. So
Okay.
Public access, that's a DOT jurisdiction. Anything that happens on that property would have to get driveway permits from, a driveway connection permit from DOT, and then also any encroachment permits if they're doing any grading and any improvement out there at the right of way. That all has to be reviewed by the DOT. That will trigger more than likely a traffic impact analysis when they go to DOT to get their permits from them in order to access the property legally. Because obviously there's going to be a widened berth there. At
Right, 107 would have to be wide, right?
Right. And we've already been in conversations about this and other projects in this particular area that may include a traffic signal somewhere in that area, not necessarily right at that intersection. This is just, that's the South River Road, not saying that that would be a traffic signal there, but that somewhere along here that may be a traffic signal.
I really won't know the particular until you get into until DOT really digs into.
You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to figure out the trips, you got to just figure out what the build out is of that property. And there may be more included to that, because that may be more of a functioning signal where once you get onto the property, you're branching off and it's actually acting as a frontage road potentially to another property for access, just for safety measures. So there's all that coordination hasn't happened yet. We do know that what the request is, and that's potentially going on this.
Hey, can you give a history for us of just the middle school and just the history of middle school going here? Or
I can share what I know. So the county got a grant for a middle school. And
there's a timeline of when to break ground?
I think we have 2 years to break ground. I think that's right.
So they went through probably, I think it was in the paper, 2 or 3 different locations. They were trying to get it closer to the Sylva Dillsboro area to be central. I think you'll have the same amount of traffic from students at Cullowhee and Fairview as you do now. But it'll put traffic from, we're going to Scotts Creek and Smoky Mountain Elementary on the road. But I mean, they might have been on the road anyways for sharing practice fields or going to the grocery store after being picked up from school anyways. Those that ride the bus, I would say it would be the same amount of traffic, but the ones where the parents are dropping them off is probably the increase.
Currently, the elementary schools are K-8, so you do have middle school students at Fairview, Scotts Creek, and Colewood.
So this will be a middle school for the county,
Middle school for the county, so
6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
yes, and don't want to forget Smoky Mountain E, which is on the north side, so there's already traffic for those students going to those schools, which will probably have some relief going to middle school. The history of that, this is going back a couple of decades too. There's always been talk about middle school. We're one of the few counties in the state that don't have a system. So, yeah, it's been a lot.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I think where at least a couple of times when there was a push for middle school, it stopped due to the cost of building or the cost of land or not having land that was big enough. So I think that this is
Is this size, like, I feel like it's big for the school, or is it not?
You know, it's for what you need for the service of the school.
They'll have
No, I mean, like, it's
Playground
good, like,
and-
we're.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so
Yeah.
for fields, different fields, auditoriums, you know, the parking, all those things would come to service a school. This obviously would offer the total build out.
Is the site fairly buildable? I mean, I would assume that that's why they're.
Yeah, I mean,
By Jackson County standard.
yeah, I mean, for mountain building, it has challenges obviously with elevations, and that's what's so imperative to get the ball moving on it, is that there is gonna be a lot of earthwork to happen. And it may be, you know, it may be a tiered system. We have parking, you know, the school, maybe the fields, you know, kind of on slightly different elevations and so forth, that they're all connected, obviously, but where you're saving on grading costs instead of making just one flat plane over the whole 58 acres would happen. But you get the point, is creating that footprint is pretty costly. So you try to work with the land to make it less, kind of try to leave it, do it in grade versus ball, I guess. And it'll probably be a combination.
what was the grant that school
It's
or the county or the city got?
well, the county and the school.
The school system, yeah, got the
Is
grant.
it 30 million?
It's $52 million with $8 million match from the county, so, it comes to the,
Roughly $60 million to build this school. It's if we don't like it. I'm not saying we do, but what
Don't like.
You
what?
you are making a recommendation to the town board.
right,
So you
Right.
either are voting to recommend the map amendment or to deny them.
I would think importantly with map amendments, here's what I would that's what I tell every board that does a rezoning. We understand there's an ideal or a use that it may be used for. But in fact, when you rezone a property, it can be used for any of the uses listed in the zoning district that's being requested. So while we understand that today to be a middle school, and I would think in this case, it's sounds like it changes others, but I mean, it could be used in the future for any type of use in that zoning district. Because that's what you're doing, you're rezoning the property. You're not approving a site-specific plan.
For
You're just,
school.
that's right. So we understand it at this time. We've put this in here that we all understand that's the site that we are evaluating, you know, and probably putting a middle school on. But in this case, the conversation to the board and everything, it's, the request is really to move from general business to institutional. And any use within that institutional district would be allowable on that piece of property. And that would be kind of the conversation. So while we're focusing on middle school, understand that it's a little bit bigger what the request is.
Is this the same lot that they were thinking of putting the grocery store?
No, that's a different property and that's still conversation about that. We've been talking in-house about this property for years. About different things happening on that, and that's just kind of, you know, since COVID and everything, this just really hasn't picked up, and for a number of different reasons, for the cost, different things, but this presented itself. So that's why.
Being that the institutional use is consistent with the 2040 plan, I'll make a motion to approve the document.
Yeah, I think it would anchor it more like in the community corridor idea down there. All right, all in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
So, which was a statement of consistency pursuant to General Statute 150 regarding the proposed zoning map amendment from general business to institutional for parcel identified by PIN number 7640-85-7027. The Town of Sylva Planning Board has found the zoning map amendment to parcel identified by that number to be supported by the Town of Sylva's 2040 land use plan. We find the proposed amendment to be consistent with the plan for Sylva corridor specifications found on page 32 of the Town of Sylva 2040 land use plan. More specifically, for the community corridor, the requested map amendment would not constitute spot zoning, as the subject properties will be in accordance with the town's adopted land use plan for 2040. This plan establishes that these properties will be in the future community corridor district. The encouraged land uses for this future district include mixed-use buildings, institutional uses, walkable neighborhood commercials such as retail, office, personal services, large-scale commercial business centers, community services, and civic educational services. We therefore consider the proposed zoning map amendment to be reasonable and in the public interest. Motion to approve this consistency statement. And a second? A second. It is approved.
Thank you all for adjusting your schedules to make this work. Careful, high school graduates that we're completed with the next, with our regular.
Yeah, that's it.
And you
Well, it's the first Tuesday.
June 12th.
Or second Tuesday. Yes.
All right, can I get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
And a second.
Thank you all.
There I should have, yeah.
Time to check.
Let me ask another question.
Okay.
Off the record.